Hey, what is up, everybody? I am here to give you another SummerSlam series review. Now, you're probably wondering, like, this is a weird setup that I have right now. Um, Pretty much what's going on is we're kind of cleaning the house right now. So, pretty much I'm on like a temporary table that's in my room right now, and I'm on a temporary chair that I'm sitting in. So, I figured I would do this setup for a change because one, I get sick and tired of sitting in the bed because it makes me look unprofessional when I do it this way. And I actually like having my YouTube videos done this way. I can spin in my chair and talk at the same time. Um, but I was just thinking, like right before I started filming, you never actually seen this side of my room. You normally see the other side because I normally film on the other side because my bed's over there and it's just more accessible this way. But yeah, this is the other side of my room, my TV, my door, and all the other stuff. This is my closet where I keep all my DVDs, shit, and stuff that I don't use. Um, and then there's that poster over there, a wrestling poster, right over there. So that was a little bit of a tour right there. So let's get right to this review of SummerSlam. This is my other SummerSlam review. I've been just really getting these SummerSlam reviews done lately. It's just pounding them down your throats pretty much. You're probably getting annoyed with them, but I've probably done the most accomplishment with this series than I have in the past 3 years. I've done this, making these videos. I got none of them done in 2012, 2013. I got none of them done in this last year. I got one done, but this year I'm just sitting down because I'm actually committed to it this year, and I'm finding that I'm actually doing this series. It's actually helping me looking forward to SummerSlam this year even more because for some reason I can't really explain why, but it actually is. But um, if you want to check out my other SummerSlam reviews, you can click right up here on the playlist. I've done past SummerSlam reviews on that. And then you're not going to see the 2013 review because I did that review on the CM Brothers channel, and that video is down below right here. And the CM Brothers channel itself is right here. And, right here. Um, and that's how you cross promote a YouTube channel. You talk about what's on a video that's on that channel, or you just vaguely bring up that YouTube channel, and then you say, "Hey, you want to click on that channel? Click right here." So you can click on that right there to subscribe to CM Brothers, where I talk about both wrestling and non-wrestling topics. So let's get to this SummerSlam that I just watched. I watched, and this SummerSlam took place in 1991. This is the 1991 SummerSlam special. Um, I think this is probably one of my favorite ones that I've watched so far, um, because this SummerSlam was just awesome. I can't really think of anything bad about it. It was just a really good SummerSlam, and I'm gonna get right into the stuff. So let's get right into this code and stuff like that. Okay, and it wasn't just the code itself. The matches had a purpose. I'm just gonna get right into it. Okay, so yeah, this is WWF, which WWF. Hold on, let me make sure. Okay, yeah. So WWF stands for World Wrestling Federation. If you haven't known that after watching the last two videos I did, I'm telling you now, WWF stands for World Wrestling Federation. And this is WWF SummerSlam from 1991. And we had Bobby the Brain Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon, and Rowdy Roddy Piper on commentary. The commentary was phenomenal in this show. Bobby the Brain Heenan was good. Gorilla Monsoon was good as always. And Rowdy Roddy Piper, I thought, was outstanding. And Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon, every time I watch a match where they do commentary, they always do a very good job calling the match or the show because they have great chemistry when it comes to being on commentary together. But I will get to that when I finish as I go along because it's just great. So the first match on the show is the Dragon, which is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. So the Dragon, the Texas Tornado, also known as Kerry Von Erich, and the British Bulldog versus the Warlord and Power and Glory, and that the Power and Glory consists of Paul Rama and Hercules, and the Warlord and Power and Glory were accompanied by their manager Slick, because Slick is really Warlord's manager. And this was actually a pretty good six-man tag team match. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Um, they dominated the heel team for a while. The face team dominated the heel team, and then the heel team dominated the Dragon for a while. But they did this one spot where the Dragon tried to roll up somebody. I think it was Paul Rama, and he actually ended up rolling him up. And Hercules tried to kick him in the head, but he missed. And then Paul Rama ended up kicking out. And then Warlord laid him out with a clothesline behind the referee's back. But I thought that was a nice spot there. The finish, well, the British Bulldog got the hot tag on Hercules, I think, and he went off on Hercules, and everybody just started fighting with each other. I don't remember the finish, to be honest with you. I have no idea why. Let me see if I can look it up. I don't really remember the finish, and it doesn't really tell you on here. I honestly don't remember the finish. I remember the British Bulldog got the pin on somebody, but I don't really remember how. But the British Bulldog, the Texas Tornado, and the Dragon won this match, but I don't really remember how they won. So I am gonna have to apologize there. But this match really was a nice, fast pace and a nice way to kick off SummerSlam. So I thought this was a pretty good match here. But yeah, I'm sorry, I just don't remember the finish. So next, Mr. Perfect and the coach get interviewed, and Mr. Perfect is at the time is the current reigning and defending Intercontinental Champion, and he cuts a promo talking about how Bret Hart may be the excellence of execution, but I'm perfect. And he cuts the same promo as he's always been cut, but it's a really good promo. And how he's perfect, and he said that being the excellence of execution doesn't give you the right to hold this championship, and I'm gonna beat you tonight to retain the title. I thought it was actually a really good promo by Mr. Perfect. I thought it was really good. So we get that match, Mr. Perfect with Coach ringside, and Mr. Perfect was defending the Intercontinental Championship against Bret the Hitman Hart. This was a phenomenal Intercontinental Championship match. If you haven't watched this match, you totally should check it out. It is totally worth checking out. Anyways, as I was saying, that's probably going to happen a lot. So, yeah, like I said, this was a phenomenal Intercontinental Championship match. The match starts off, Bret Hart, they do a lot of chain grapples that were good. Bret Hart ends up hitting a wicked chain grapple hip toss, and it knocks Mr. Perfect right outside the ring, which I thought was a nice touch. And Bret Hart is just kicking Mr. Perfect's ass, so Mr. Perfect just decides to leave and lose by countout so he can retain his championship. And Bret Hart attacks Mr. Perfect, puts him back in the ring, and he continues to attack Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect eventually gets the upper hand on Bret Hart because Bret Hart was trying to attack him in the corner, and Mr. Perfect hit a cheap shot because the referee was trying to hold Bret Hart back. And then Mr. Perfect dominated Bret Hart at one point, tried to come in the ring, and Mr. Perfect decked him, and Bret Hart landed right on not only the cameraman, but the guy that would take pictures so they can put him on the website. And I don't even know if they could even do that at the time, but the guy that would take pictures. And Mr. Perfect dominated the match at that point, and he hit some pretty sick moves, but he didn't completely dominate the match. Bret Hart would try to fight back at some points. One spot in the match was they were both on the turnbuckle, and they were both fighting each other, and they both fell off the turnbuckle, and Mr. Perfect fell on Bret Hart to make the cover. I thought that was a nice spot there. And Mr. Perfect just dominated Bret Hart. He hit the neck flip where the guy's down, and Mr. Perfect flips over, and Bret Hart ends up hitting his neck, and Mr. Perfect dominates the match. and Mr. Perfect actually ends up hitting the perfect plex onto Bret Hart, and Bret Hart kicks out of the move, and that has never happened before. They said nobody's ever kicked out of Mr. Perfect's perfect plex, so I thought that was awesome. Eventually, both men get taken down with clotheslines, and Bret Hart starts to make his comeback. Bret Hart actually ends up Irish whipping Mr. Perfect, and Mr. Perfect's balls almost land right into the ring post, but it doesn't quite get there yet. And Bret Hart hits suplexes. He hits an axe handle off the rope. He hits a schoolboy to try to get him, but Mr. Perfect keeps hitting out. A lot of near falls in this match too, I should mention. And Bret Hart ends up trying to lock in the sharpshooter onto no, I'm actually getting ahead of myself. Bret Hart even threw Mr. Perfect into the steel post, and then they got back in the win. Bret Hart worked on the leg of Mr. Perfect because he was trying to set him up for the sharpshooter, and he has to weaken his leg. And Bret Hart tries to put Mr. Perfect in the sharpshooter, but the coach gets on the apron, and Bret Hart knocks him down, and he goes to attack him on the outside, but Mr. Perfect takes out Bret Hart's legs, and he continues to attack Bret Hart's leg, and then eventually Bret Hart gets Mr. Perfect in the sharpshooter, and Mr. Perfect taps out, and Bret Hart wins the match and becomes the brand new Intercontinental Champion. This was, like I said, a phenomenal Intercontinental Championship match. Nice chain wrestling, nice near falls. I think this might be the match of the night, like wrestling wise. In-win and component wise, this is the match of the night. It's totally worth checking out, and I totally would suggest you watch this match because it really is a good match. And Bret Hart goes to celebrate with his father and mother, Stu Hart and Helen Hart, I believe her name is, and they were watching from the crowd, and they try to get a word with Stu Hart, but he's just so speechless after Bret Hart won. And this was just a great moment for Bret Hart to win that title in front of his family. I thought that was great. And Bret Hart, too, I even forgot to mention this. I wanted to mention this before. Had just broken away from the Hart Foundation with Jim the Anvil Neidhart. He was making his way up the ranks as a mid-card guy. And I think that was just awesome for Bret Hart. I think Bret Hart was a pretty good Intercontinental Champion match-wise. So I liked Bret Hart here. So, next, the Bushwhackers the Bushwhackers consist of Butch and Luke, and they get interviewed, and so do Andre the Giant, and this is happening because Andre the Giant has actually turned face since last year. I don't know if he was already face because he wasn't on last year's show, but Andre the Giant Jimmy Hart wanted him to be his manager, but Andre the Giant refused. Andre the Giant, Miss Jimmy Hart was calling him a liar. An earthquake had taken out his leg, so Andre the Giant was injured, so he was going to be in the corner in the Bushwhackers when the natural disasters, which consisted of earthquake and I gotta look this up. The earthquake and typhoon, and they pretty much cut promos saying that they're gonna take out the natural disaster. They're not like the Bushwhackers. Everybody doesn't think they deserve to go into the Hall of Fame, but I disagree. They just really connected with the fans. They were a hot tag team, like, before they came to the WWF anyways. They had won tag team championships, I heard. That little walk that they used to do when they would lick ball people's heads for no reason. I really enjoyed that. And I thought that was good stuff right there. And during this match, I'm going to forget about this. Bobby the Brain Heenan leaves commentary. Now, I'm not going to tell you why, because they're going to use this a little bit right after this match. So, after this match, I'll tell you why. Yeah. So we get this match. It's the Natural Disasters with Jimmy Hart versus the Bushwhackers with Andre the Giant. This was actually a solid match. It wasn't like a amazing match, but I thought it was a decent match. Then Bushwhackers attack the Natural Disasters before the match. They rake them in the eyes, and they try to do what they can pretty much to take down the Natural Disasters, and it doesn't work. Earthquake hits the earthquake on one of the Bushwhackers. I don't know which one it was for the win. Then afterwards, they're gonna go attack Andre the Giant, and the Legion of Doom, which consists of Hawk and Animal, come out to just stop them. And that was really it there. I thought this was fine. I kind of did want the Bushwhackers to win though. I was rooting for them, but it didn't happen. I knew they weren't gonna win just because they didn't have the size power, and they were probably building up to an Earthquake Andre the Giant match in the future. Um, so yeah, I thought this was fine, and it made this tag team look really strong. And like I said, the tag team was just really hot at this point. So then Bobby the Brain Heenan's backstage, and he has the, I don't know what they called it, the WCW or the NWA Championship at the time, um, but he has that belt, and he probably pretty much rubs into Hulk Hogan's face that Ric Flair's challenging him to a match, and Ric Flair's the real world champion, and Hulk Hogan just slams the door right in his face. I thought that was awesome. If we don't actually see Hulk Hogan, it just shows it. I thought this was pretty awesome stuff, though. It was funny. So, next, Macho Man Randy Savage is backstage. I don't know why this is there. And he's making plans for his wedding, pretty much. And they're talking about his honeymoon. I'm going to not talk about this as much because it gets used in the main event. And then the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and Sensational Sherry get interviewed. Ted DiBiase says that he's going to destroy Virgil, and he's going to put him in his place, and he's going to make Virgil cry, and he is going to make Virgil kiss his feet and show that he's nothing, pretty much. I thought that was a good promo. He cuts good promos. So then we get an awesome match. I was on my feet for this match. We had the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and he had Sensational Sherry at ringside, and Ted DiBiase was defending his $1 Million Championship against Virgil. They were facing off. This match, I think, was probably 2 years in the making. Maybe 3, because they'd been together for a while. Virgil was Ted DiBiase's bodyguard. Virgil was pretty much his slave. Like, back, in during, like, the civil rights, and when they had slaves, that's pretty much what Virgil was. I don't know if, it was what was supposed to be, like a race thing, but I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see with that. But Ted DiBiase would just make Virgil do humiliating things, massage his feet, clean the dirt off his shoes. He actually made him, like, he would verbally assault him, make him bend over and pick up money. He would just humiliate Virgil, and then eventually Virgil just turned on Ted DiBiase. It was a nice mark-out moment. And to be honest with you, I just felt the story to this match. I thought the storyline was awesome in this match. And the match starts. Before the match even starts, Virgil attacks Ted DiBiase from behind, destroys him, beats the crap out of him. He in the ring, and then he goes outside the ring. He bounces his head off the steel steps. He beats the crap out of Ted DiBiase outside the ring. And after this point, Bobby the Brain Heenan comes back on commentary, and Virgil tries to do a dive right onto Ted DiBiase, but he moves out of the way, so Virgil ends up taking a bad spill on the floor. And then Ted DiBiase throws Virgil right into the steel steps, and then Ted DiBiase dominates the match for a while, and Virgil gets the $1 Million Dream right under Ted DiBiase. And I thought that was awesome, because I actually thought Virgil at this point was going to win this match, because what a way to get revenge on the guy that treated you like crap, then by beating him with his own move. And I even didn't mention what a way to get revenge, to take his own championship that Ted DiBiase created. How awesome is that? But Sensational Sherry comes in and hits Virgil right in the back of the head with her purse. So the referee calls for the bell, and it's supposed to be like a DQ. Virgil wins, but Ted DiBiase retains the championship. But instead, the referee says that the referee instead decides to have Sensational Sherry go to the back. She's banned from ringside. If she doesn't leave, she's going to be suspended for 30 days, and the match is going to continue. And Ted DiBiase and Virgil sends Virgil right into the referees. So the ref takes a bump, and Ted DiBiase at this point just destroys Virgil. He hits 3 suplexes on him, a pile driver. And as this, Ted DiBiase is looking right at Roddy Piper. And Roddy Piper was really great on commentary. He got me into this match. I was already into the match, but he really got me into this match. Rooting for Virgil. He was just really putting Virgil over, I feel. And I thought that was awesome. And then the referee doesn't get up after Virgil gets pile drive. So DiBiase takes a cheap shot at the referee. And Ted DiBiase takes off the turnbuckle, and he goes to throw Virgil into it, but Virgil throws Ted DiBiase into it twice and covers him and becomes the new $1 million champion. Virgil wins, and I thought that was awesome because Virgil, I think, was a good choice to go over because he was the babyface that had been treated like crap, and he deserved to win this match. And what a better way to stick it to the guy that treated you like crap than by taking the championship that he won, like I said. So I thought this was awesome. Okay, so next, the Mountie got interviewed. And I actually forgot to look this up. I meant to look this up before. The Mountie is actually, let me see if it tells you. The Mountie is actually Jacques Rougeau from the Rougeau brothers. I didn't know if you guys knew that. I knew it was one of them, but I didn't know which one it was. And pretty much, he's gonna have a jail, what they call it. They're gonna have a jailhouse match. But he's gonna have a jailhouse match with Big Boss Man, and what that match is whoever loses has to go to jail. And he's just pretty much saying he's gonna send Big Boss Man to jail, and Big Boss Man later on in the night gets interviewed and says the same thing. But the Mountie, what this feud is the Mountie's like, I guess, the Russian version of the police officer, and Big Boss Man's the the French. I think the Mountie's the French version, and Big Boss Man's the American version. And the Mountie pretty much tells one of the officers that he wants them to beat Big Boss Man up and make sure he doesn't escape, and he puts one of them in charge to put him in shackles, and Big Boss Man doesn't like that he disrespected one of the officers. I actually like this feud though. Because it makes sense for them to have a match. They both have the same gimmick, but different countries. And, I thought that was awesome. And on a show, the Mountie ends up taking a taser, and tasing Big Boss Man, which I liked. And we get the match. It's Big Boss Man versus the Mountie, and the Mountie had Jimmy Hart inside. It was the jailhouse match. And in the beginning of the match, Big Boss Man beats the crap out of the Mountie. The Mountie actually tried to go off the top and do it and go on Big Boss Man, but he caught him into a spine buster. And then Jimmy Hart distracted Big Boss Man, so he tried to chase after him, and the Mountie attacked Boss Man from behind, and Boss Man went into the steel steps, and he dominated the match from that point. And then Big Boss Man makes a comeback for a little bit, but then Mountie takes out his knee, and he tries to use the taser, but Big Boss Man moves out of the way, and he wins, and then eventually the Mountie is about to win because he hits not like a very well executed power driver. And then he tries to go for a power driver again, but then the Big Boss Man counters with an Alabama slam for the win. So then they send the Mountie to jail, and they actually handcuff him, and it shows him backstage going to jail, and the Mountie says that you shouldn't be doing this to me, and it leads to some awesome segments. I'm just going to talk about them now because they're on my mind. It shows him going to jail, and he's being taken to jail. And then he has his picture taken, and then he has his fingerprint. His fingerprint. He has like his finger printed, and then it shows him going into his jail cell. And later on in the night, he keeps saying to, "You can't do this to me." He tries to escape before they put him in his cell, and he's trying to Jimmy Hart even said that he was going to try to get like his lawyers. I guess that never went through because he was there for a while. Um, and um, Jim, the Mounties with the other prisoners, and one of the prisoners says, "You like my leather, don't you?" Pretty much referencing that he's gay. Um, I thought this was nice stuff here. So, next, Mean Gene Oakland was backstage, and the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, pretty much said that was all bullshit, that he lost the $1 Million Championship. It seems like that happens every year. Every year somebody complains that it's bullshit, they lose a match, but it's so awesome that they do it because the guy that does it's just awesome. And then Bret Hart gets interviewed, says that it was an honor for him to win the Intercontinental Championship from Mr. Perfect to prove that he's better than him, and it was an honor to win that championship in front of his parents. The Natural Disasters and Jimmy Hart get interviewed, and they pretty much talk about how they're going to destroy the Legion of Doom because they got involved in their business, and they didn't have any they didn't have any reasons to get involved. Big Boss Man gets interviewed, and he pretty much talk about how the Mounties going to suffer in jail. Mean Gene Oakland tries to interview Macho Man Randy Savage, but he's too busy on the phone. He even says trying to talk to Miss Elizabeth, but he says you can't call her Miss Elizabeth anymore. It's just Elizabeth. I thought that was a nice, funny line. Then the Nasty Boys, which consist of, I don't even know who it consists of. The Nasty Boys, it consists of, hold on, Brian Knobs and Jerry Sags, I think is how you say it. And Jimmy Hart get interviewed, and the Nasty Boys talk about how you may think you have the advantage because they're facing the Legion of Doom for the tag titles. So you may think you have an advantage because there's no countouts and no disqualifications, but you don't really know how nasty we can get. And they cut a promo about that. Now they're going to beat the crap out of them and retain the WWF World Tag Team Championships. I thought that was a nice promo there. They cut a pretty good promo. And then the Legion of Doom get interviewed. The Legion of Doom, I didn't say, consists of Hawk and Animal. Haven't said that yet. And they cut a promo talking about how they're going to take out the Nasty Boys and become the new WWF World Tag Team Champions. And they talk and they say that the reasons they helped out Andre the Giant is because you shouldn't be picking on a veteran like that. Thought that was nice. And then Sergeant Slaughter, Colonel Mustafa, and General Aiden get interviewed. And they pretty much say that they're going to destroy Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior. They're talking about how it's already going to be an easy fight because they're coming into the match hurt because Hulk Hogan, they had busted Hulk Hogan open, and Ultimate Warrior was already injured. So, and they pretty much say that Sid Justice is going to end up joining sides with them and turn on Hogan and Warrior. And then Sid Justice gets interviewed, says that he's not on anybody's side. He's on his own side, but then Mean Gene Oakland calls bullshit on it because they play footage of him talking with Sergeant Slaughter, Colonel Mustafa, and General Aiden. And General Aiden's actually the Iron Sheik, by the way. I should have mentioned that. And it shows him talking with them like he's gonna help them out, but he says that hey, they approached me. I didn't go approach them. He says I'm not on anybody's side. I'm just gonna call the match down the middle. I thought that was nice stuff there. I think I like that they did these interview segments because I really needed a break after all that in-ring action. So I think it's nice, and they even said they took a 5-minute intermission. So I thought that was nice there. So next we had the Nasty Boys with Jimmy Hart ringside, and they were defending the WWF Tag Team Championships, World Tag Team Championships, I should mention, against the Legion of Doom, and it was a no countout and no disqualification match. This match was okay. It just starts out with the Legion of Doom. They come out and kick the new Nasty Boys' ass. I believe Hawk hit a powerbomb on one of them. I don't know which one's which because I've seen the Nasty Boys before, but I never know which one's which. And one of the other Nasty Boy saves it, and they continue to fight. And somehow I forget how the Nasty Boys get the upper hand, and one of the Nasty Boys hits Hawk in the back with it was with this crate that had like a bunch of drinks in it, like beer and stuff like that. And they hit him with that, and they pretty much dominate Hawk for a while. They continue to They go up. One of them goes off the apron and hits an axe handle on him. They choke him with a cable wire. Um, and yeah, I thought it was nice stuff there. And then eventually, the thing I didn't get though about this match is the Nasty Boys were both in the win because it was no DQ, and Animal just stood there and did nothing. Like he could have clearly come in the match because it's no disqualifications and no countouts, but he just stood there and did nothing. I didn't get that. Um, Eventually, he does get the hot tag. He starts going off on the Nasty Boys. Eventually, the Nasty Boys gets the upper hand. Jimmy Hart hands one of them the helmet, and he hits Animal with it, but he kicks out of it. And then Hawk hits Hawk takes out Jimmy Hart, hits one of the Nasty Boys with the helmet, and then they go off. They do the Tower of Doom, where I believe Hawk picked up one of the Nasty Boys like an electric chair position, and Animal went off and did a clothesline and got the victory. I might have the name of the move wrong, but there's so many names of wrestler moves, it's hard to remember them. But then the Legion of Doom win the tag team titles. I thought that was a nice moment for the Legion of Doom. And yeah, I thought that was decent stuff here. The match was just okay at best. There was a lot of it just was bugging me that like the Nasty Boys were both in the ring, but Animal just stood there, and they were still kind of doing things behind the referee's back when there was no DQ, so I didn't get that. Next match was Owen Schweister, or IOS for short, versus Greg the Hammer Valentine. I actually like the iOS gimmick. It's a tax gimmick. It's a gimmick that makes sense. It's a gimmick that everybody would hate because everybody hates to pay taxes, and he's like a tax collector. And he actually cuts a promo before the match, talking about how everyone's getting too scared to pay their taxes. So I actually like his promo. This match wasn't bad or anything. It was just kind of there. It was just kind of there to kill time, I thought. That's why I hate, like, people from the past talk about how they just throw matches on nowadays to kill time. And I'm not trashing the past because the past wrestling's good, but the past wrestling did that sometimes. Look at this match here. This match clearly was just there. Greg the Hammer Valentine, I do like him as a wrestler. He hits a figure four, but then iOS gets the ropes, and then he tries to do it again, and iOS wins with the roll-up. I thought this was nice stuff here. The match wasn't bad. Like I said, it was just kind of there. Then next, Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan get interviewed. And at this time, Hulk Hogan was the current reigning and defending WWF champion. And they cut a promo pretty much talking about how they're going to destroy Cole Mustafa, Sergeant Slaughter, and General Aiden. And it was really good because it was nice to see Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior team up together. Because Ultimate Warrior is pretty much like Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan's like Ultimate Warrior. They're both like the big baby faces of the company, so it's cool to see them teaming up together. I really enjoyed that. Then we get that match. It's Sergeant Slaughter, Cole Mustafa, General Aiden versus Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan, and Sid Justice was the special guest referee for this match. And this match, I thought, made sense to happen for SummerSlam. Because we have Sergeant Slaughter, who had been built up because he had just joined Iraq like a year ago at SummerSlam, and now he'd been built up, and Sergeant Slaughter beat Ultimate Warrior at the Royal Rumble to take the WWF Championship from him, and then Hogan beat Slaughter at WrestleMania 7 to win the title, and it makes sense to have this match here. So I thought it made sense. And Sergeant Slaughter, I think they were trying to build up that match between Hogan and Sid Justice. I meant to say Sid Justice instead. Slaughter. I botched. And what was I going to say? I was going to say something. Oh, this match even too was marketed as a match made in hell. And I guess you could say that it was. So let's talk about this match. Hogan and Warrior just destroy Sergeant Slaughter throughout the beginning. They both hit big boots on Slaughter, but then Hogan keeps punching Slaughter in the corner, and Sid Justice keeps pushing him back, so it allows Sergeant Slaughter to get the upper hand. and the heels get the heat on Hulk Hogan for a while, and then Hogan gets the hot tag in Ultimate Warrior. He goes off on Slaughter, and then he accidentally clotheslines Sid Justice, which he doesn't go down from that. And then they dominate Ultimate Warrior for a while, and then Hogan gets the hot tag. He starts going off on everybody pretty much, and Ultimate Warrior grabs a chair, chases both Cole Mustafa and General Aiden backstage, and we don't see them forever, like until not ever again, but they're just gone at this point in the match, and we know really what happened. I'm gonna talk about it now. We know why they did this spot, because in real life, before this match, Ultimate Warrior was holding Vince up for $500,000. He felt like he deserved that money, and Vince wouldn't give it to him. Well, eventually Vince did agree to it, actually. But then right when Ultimate Warrior went backstage, he was fired from WWF, and he wasn't seen from until WrestleMania 8, I believe. And it was kind of a sad situation, I guess. And they even talked about it in the Self-Destruct Ultimate Warrior DVD, and Hulk Hogan even said we're going to break his legs old school style. Sergeant Slaughter had talked about it. And then that Self-Destruction of the Warrior DVD ended up going on trial in 2005, and it was all just a big controversy. So it pretty much caused this match caused that whole controversy. So it was kind of a sad situation. And then eventually Hogan though won the match. He threw powder right into Slaughter's face and hit a leg drop for the win. And then afterwards Hogan celebrated. He calls out Sid Justice to celebrate with him, and he does. I actually thought Sid Justice was going to end up laying out Hogan, but it didn't happen. And that was really it there. I thought this was fine stuff. It just kind of sucks now that I know the back history to it, because it made sense why Warrior would chase him out, because then it's down to a one-on-one match. But yeah, now we know the real reason because of what happened with Warrior. So yeah. The main event. This is the match made in heaven. It was and it really wasn't a match. It was the wedding of Miss Elizabeth and Macho Man Randy Savage. This was a really awesome segment, and it main evented SummerSlam. It was awesome. This is they play like a tribute. Well, no, first they show the part when Macho Man Randy Savage proposes to Miss Elizabeth, and he actually talks about. He says, "I'm gonna be in the ring at SummerSlam," and Mean Gene Okerlund says, "No, you can't do that because Savage had lost to Warrior at WrestleMania 7, and whoever lost had to retire, and the Savage had lost, and but Savage says, I'm not going to wrestle. And he gets down on one hand, he puts out the win, and he asks Miss Elizabeth to marry him, and she says, "Oh yeah," because that's like Macho Man's like catchphrase. "Oh yeah." And then they play like a nice tribute video, pretty much going through their whole career since they've been together, which I liked. I thought that was a nice touch. And I thought it was a great tribute video. Then they bring out Macho Man Randy Savage. They bring out the ring bearer. They bring out the bridesmaid. They bring out the flower girl. I probably have it all mixed up or whatever. And then Miss Elizabeth herself comes out. And they do the wedding. They do like a casual stuff. One thing I didn't get was, I don't know if this is the way they used to do weddings, but instead of saying, as long as you both shall live, instead of as long as you both do live, I don't know if WWF really wanted to actually copy, weddings or what, but But they did the normal stuff. One thing that they did do was when Randy Savage asked, whether or not he wanted to marry, instead of saying I do, he went, "Oh yeah," which I loved. And the way I just love Savage's voice, because it's just a different voice, I guess, and it's just the way he talks makes this work. But they do all the normal stuff. They end off the marriage. They finally get married. They send balloons and confetti go. No, not confetti. Confetti, I guess, go off. Fireworks. Well, not only fireworks, but you get what I'm saying. They have balloons and stuff go down for the wedding, and that was the end of the show. No interruptions. No, because normally when they do weddings, it gets interrupted, but no interruptions. This is probably the only wedding that you could have done that worked because they had been in a relationship for a while. They actually had just gotten back together at WrestleMania 7. Um, and I thought it made sense for them to get married. They were already married in real life, but they are now married in the WWF. I thought this was really a great wedding. I thought this was great stuff. I thought it made sense to main event SummerSlam. Everyone's gonna probably tell me otherwise, but I don't care. Um, it made sense because they had built to this moment probably for years, even though you like even though you can't like they built to it, but also that they had that chemistry anyways, you know. And I thought it was awesome. It's so weird to see Miss Elizabeth talk too, because she never usually says anything. But she said some things here. Um, but other than that, that was SummerSlam for 1991. Awesome show. The IC title match was good. The storyline with Virgil and Ted DiBiase, that whole thing was really good. The stuff I like the segments with the Mountie of him being in jail and you had that whole match there. I like that. The 6-man tag beginning was good. The only thing I can't really say, like it wasn't bad or anything. It was just kind of there. The iOS Greg the Hammer Valentine, but I actually can't really complain about that because that actually ended up not being like that bad. It was just kind of there. The tag team title match, watching the Legion of Doom win those tag team titles was really cool. I actually the only matches that were kind of boo boos or kind of like weird was the iOS match and maybe the what's I just have it the Bushwhackers versus the Natural Disasters. Those were the only ones that were kind of boo boos, but they really weren't that bad anyways. So that's pretty much it, guys. That is my SummerSlam review for 1991. If you want to subscribe to my channel, you can click down below. But right here, right there. You can also subscribe to my non-wrestling channel, Owen the Talkinator, where I talk about non-wrestling things. You can subscribe to my friend James the He-Man Hebert's channel. He has 2 YouTube channels. One is down below. It's called James Hebert. He makes custom Titantrons of wrestlers. I lost my pen. But yeah, subscribe to James Hebert, and you can subscribe to Weymouth Youth Wrestling over here, where James Hebert is having a tournament. It's going to be a WYW tournament, and I am going to be in this tournament, and I am going to win that WYW championship, and nobody's going to stop me. But that's pretty much it, guys. I will talk to you later.